Okay, welcome everyone. We are now live this evening on YouTube, on the Trust the People platform on YouTube. So my name is Hester. I'm from the Trust the People project, which is all about, I always do this.
No!
So Trust the People project is all about community democracy and community organising. And we started doing these conversations about 2 months ago when it felt like there was important conversations to be had, and this is how this sort of platforms come about. And tonight we are talking about forgiveness.
No.
My kids are making loads of noise, so I'll say a bit more about that in a minute. I'm going to pass over to Kevin to say hello and do a quick.
Hi all. Yeah, as you can see, I'm here joining part of this discussion on forgiveness. I'm passing it over to Jo.
Hiya, I'm Jo, and I'm really looking forward to the conversation. I think it can bring a lot, so here I am to join in. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Leela Fortunato. I'm from Black British Studies. So I'm really interested in having this conversation all about forgiveness. In the context of Black history, I think that there's quite a few different angles to look at there.
Thank you guys for being here this evening. So I've got a child that's like throwing books at my head at the moment and trying to just like be a normal disruptive 1-year-old. He started having tantrums, and I remember my other son did this at a similar age. It's like, so there's going to be some background noise. But yeah, this topic, forgiveness, or the word I've just grabbed out of Wikipedia actually. So forgiveness is the intentional and voluntary process by which one who may initially feel victimized. It's too noisy, I can't even read. Give me a second. Why don't you start, guys, with what you think forgiveness is, like a definition of forgiveness? Anyone want to start?
Don't think anyone actually wants to start.
Oh, well, I'll start then. For me, forgiveness is about letting go of the hurt that you're feeling from something that somebody's done to you, or you think someone's done to you. And yeah, in a nutshell, I think that's what it is.
Go on, Kevin.
Forgiveness, I would concur. However, I think we can kind of forgive small things which actually doesn't really matter to us either. They're quite insignificant, but you forgive it in the moment because, however that may look. But I think there's often a bigger agenda to forgiveness, which we shall explore a little bit later.
Yeah, I find this topic hard. Like I'll go, before I come to you, Jo, I'll just read out this little definition because it was kind of succinct. Yeah, so the intentional and voluntary process by which one who may initially feel victimized undergoes a change in feelings and attitude regarding a given offensive and overcomes negative emotions such as resentment and vengeance, however justified that might be. So, yeah, and it goes on. Theorists differ, however, in the extent to which they believe forgiveness is also implies replacing the negative emotions with positive attitudes. So, like an increased ability to wish the offender well, and that forgiveness is different from condoning. So, like failing to see the action as wrong and in need of forgiveness, or excusing, like not holding the offender as responsible for the action. And then there's forgetting, so removing awareness of the offence from consciousness, and pardoning. These are all sort of different things within it. So granted granted for an acknowledged offence by a representative of society, such as a judge. And then finally, it talks about reconciliation, so like restoration of the relationship. So I'll start with like a personal one, which is, I find forgiveness really hard. I think it's because it wasn't modeled to me very well. And what I tend to do is, if somebody has like, you know, personally caused me harm, I just tend to shut them out. And like on what much wider themes, this is what I was saying a little bit in the group, I find it very hard to sort of reconcile where there's been like an atrocity or genocide, like, you know, historical crimes against humanity and stuff like that. I find that really confusing, like how to reconcile, like that last part of the definition, you know, the reconciliation, so restoration of the relationship. And someone was talking today about reparations and restitution. So I think like, and the part about the restitution is about, yeah, restoring what there was, sort of putting back what's been taken and stuff like that. I'm going to come to Leela first in a second, but I wanted to just like welcome into the room tonight. Charlotte has just arrived, and Marvina, welcome. Wow, Marvina, you look so stunning. Are you going out?
Just finished lecturing. I've just been in lectures all day and conferences, so don't worry, I'm wearing a onesie, I'm wearing a tracksuit underneath, so don't be fooled by the top bit. Literally, in fact, I'm just gonna show it for the fun of it. Literally, this is what people do. Can you see? I've got pajamas bottom at the bottom. No one knows. But anyway, that's what working from home is. You just top face done, bottom still in tracksuit.
Thank you for joining us tonight, Marvina. Charlotte, do you want to say a quick hello as well? Don't worry if you're not ready. Okay, we'll come to Charlotte in a minute then. I'm going to Leela first, because she's one of the historians in the room, and I wonder how you might want to come at this first, like whether it's from like a personal perspective or
I think both. I guess, I suppose it depends on what your definition of forgiveness is. Because I don't subscribe to that definition where you have to do, you know, the last 3 points you listed. I think you said restitution, excusing, and there were some other things that you said. So literally the first thing that I said, the way I would define it is literally letting it go, not because I excuse the person, not because I think that what they've done is right or anything like that, but just for my own peace of mind. And I grew up doing meditation, and part of the meditation is very much looking out for yourself, looking after your own spiritual well-being and your health. And really it's kind of like leaving it to the universe to, I suppose, karma, to give, you know, to bring justice. I mean, obviously there are certain things where, you know, you can seek justice yourself, but when you're talking about big things like genocides and all that, you know, unless you're a person that's involved in that campaign and you're part of, you know, maybe that you're on the judging panel, you know, and your human rights you know, judges or something like that, most of us are quite kind of distanced from those things. And obviously it's also happened, so many things have happened in the past that are not going to be rectified. So, you know, there is for me an element of, yes, I get so upset about it, but am I helping myself by getting myself all worked up and upset, or can that kind of be put to a better use? So, you know, if you were to take the example of slavery, teaching about it and then sort of campaigning for, you know, sort of reparations and things like that, or investment into, you know, developed countries and things like that as a way of reparations. For me, that's my way of kind of seeking justice. Some of these things are so big, there's never anything you can do that could ever, you know, fill that or make up for those injustices. You just can't. But yeah, I mean, there's more to say, but I'll let somebody else speak.
Kevin, I'm going to encourage you to talk next.
I had a feeling it's going to be me next. Right. Very much like Layla, my thing about forgiveness is very much about peace of mind for me. And however, it had to be done on my terms. What I find with a lot of things is that we kind of get taught you need to be forgiving. You will hear like religious texts talk about forgiveness, whilst at the same time they're talking about kind of punishment, if you like, and to get punished, and you must forgive the punishment consistently. And my thing is, why should I have to forgive something when it's not actually feel when it doesn't feel good to me? And it's that kind of thing where it kind of get taught into us that forgiveness is the right action. However, I know from personal situations, there have been times where I don't hate anybody, but actually I don't want to forgive you, and it feels much better not to forgive because it just doesn't,
By the way, this is like a free-for-all. If you feel like talking, just unmute and come in. And also, we didn't get to say hi to Charlotte. Don't know if you want to wait, or are you ready? Do you want to say hello, Charlotte?
Hello everyone. Hi, my name is Charlotte. I've been listening in to everything that's been said, and this is a subject, isn't it? Yeah, this is a subject. I had my introduction and it's gone. My name's Charlotte. You can find me at Natural Woman Hair and Skincare, Fit Fitness Coaching. I'm so grateful to be a part of this space today.
Do you want to carry on, Charlotte? Or do you want to wait before you say more?
I'd like to wait.
Okay, I'll jump in. Let me jump in. Hi, everyone. Apart from me showing you I was in my tracksuits, I'm Marvina Neaton. I am co-founder of Black Lives Matter Leads and also a coalition of the Black Lives Matter movement in the UK. I'm involved in so many other things, but when I think about the word forgiveness, I remember this old African saying, which is, when you harbor anger, it's like you drinking poison, hoping that it kills the other person. When you harbor unforgiveness, it's like you're so filled with that anger that you feel like, I'm not letting it go. So you're carrying this dead weights that just constantly stopping your own flowage. So for me, I really believe in my ancestors and I believe in the universe and karma. So all I need to do, I don't forgive you for you, I forgive you for me. I forgive you because I deserve peace. I forgive you because if you knew better, you would do better. And some people do know better and they still act like a fool. So again, once again, that's not my problem. So forgiveness is a gift that I give myself every day. And I forgive myself for a lot of things I do that I didn't know better and I've done. And sometimes we are our worst enemy. We scrutinize ourselves. We tell ourselves I should have done this, I should have done that. I'm not pretty enough. Actually, the one person that you need to forgive every day is yourself. Because if the enemy within doesn't do damage, the enemy outside can't actually do no harm. So when someone says or does something to me, I tell myself to die to ego first, because I don't want to take it personal. Even when I work and I do a lot of the injustice, yes, there's nothing, there's no reparation, there's no returning of land that would ever do justice to what's been done. But there is me looking at people and just saying, or else I'll be the angry Black woman they want me to be. I will fulfill every prophecy or every view, every vibe that they think I am. And people hurt me on a regular basis, people that I have supported, allies, friends, lovers, family. That's the world we live in. And I could choose to, and it hurts when you've got a big heart that you're always giving, always loving, always caring, mostly if you're an empath. Sometimes you just think my world is destined to be hurt. To the point that we grew up thinking love hurts. I don't know about other people in this space. I should think love comes with pain. Love comes with complication. It's not straightforward. And when you're in the social justice movement, you're assuming because you're with people who sound like we're all in the same cause, they're going to feel the same way. They're going to have the same passion, but not all Black folks are keen folks, not all skin folks are keen folks. It's just something I've learned. And I've just learned to remove my expectations. I've learned to stop taking things personal. Before agreements is really good for me to just work on. And just kind of I can forgive you, but I can distance myself. I could go greystone on you. I could go cold turkey and no contact with you. I can forgive you and let go. Doesn't mean I'm a fool. Doesn't mean I have to stay in the abuse. Doesn't mean I have to stay in your toxic environment. Doesn't mean I have to. But forgiving you is not about you, it's about me. But also that means you have no access to me. Because I see it as I'm a bank. What you put in, you get out. You don't deposit anything good, I stop serving love to the table. But I can bless you from afar. I can bless you from afar. I can say, there you go. I bless you. I love you. There you go. I wish you well. I'm not going to even wish you ill. You know, sometimes you want to wish people ill because they've hurt you that much. And believe me, I've been there. Because when my tongue's open, when I start talking, I could say you've never heard a Nigerian woman cry out of pain. When we cry, pray that it doesn't catch you. Just pray. But I realized that my tongue is a weapon that can be used for good or evil. So I choose to use my tongue and my anger. So I make sure that I don't share tears for things that are not necessary. Because I know once I speak to my ancestors and I speak to the divinity and God within, I know my problem is done. So I don't know, when it comes to forgiveness, different people are allowed to have their views. And I'm not here to tell anyone to have my views, but I've known for my own internal peace, for my mental health, for my well-being, for my progression in life, I don't like dead weights. So I like to lighten my weight every day. And first step is I forgive myself first before I even think about any other person. And then I forgive the other people around me because, and I don't think about them that much. I swear to God who made me. A lot of people, they know me. Once I remove you from my vision, got my blinders on and I will never see you. I won't even smell anything you do. You can talk about me till the cows come back. Your opinions don't pay my bills. In fact, who are you? That's how irrelevant you are to my thoughts. And yes, they can say you're being stush. It's not being stush. You're not just worthy of my taking away of my peace at all. So everyone thinks I'm really nice. I'm a really nice friendly, the peacemaker. It's just the best way to live, darling. Just don't hold the drama. I'll keep quiet now. I actually would love to hear from Joe. I would love to hear from like Charlotte, any other person, jump in, say what you need to say. And Joe, you got a beautiful smile. I'm loving Layla in the space. I'm seeing blackness and the joy I'm getting here, just like me eating jollof rice right now. I'm so happy to see everybody here. Big up to all of you.
Do you feel ready to speak, Joe? I don't want to push you too much.
I feel like, you know, as I said before, I just think it's such a deep area. And I think that I've transitioned through so many emotions through everybody that's spoken. And I guess where I kind of want to start the conversation for myself is that I feel like when you were reading through the definition, I feel that out of everything you said, the bit that struck the chord with me was the victim bit. And the reason why is because I feel like for myself, you know, throughout my life, I've, you know, for various reasons, I've really kind of battled with that definition of forgiveness. And I feel, you know, especially through lockdown, I've been working on that actually more than any other time I think in my life. And the reason why I picked victim is because I think that with the word victim in it, I think that actually it's caused a lot of pain to myself because I feel like it's about finding the balance when it comes to forgiveness. And I think that definitely what everyone said, I think it's really important about yourself, the center in that, about how you pitch and how you find that forgiveness. Because I think, you know, while you're transcending what you're transcending through, sorry, can you hear me?
I think you're just touching the mic, wherever that might be.
Okay, can you hear me now? Yeah, I feel that, where was I? I've lost my train of thought now. victim. Yeah, I think that's, you know, it's about centering yourself, and I think you need to be careful with that word, because I think also by thinking about the word victim can stop you from transitioning through that place of forgiveness. And at the same time, I feel that when you're thinking about yourself, it's not about being a victim, like, you know, like setting yourself as the victim. And I think it can stop you then from I don't know what the correct word would be, but it can block you from that path of forgiveness, is what I'm trying to say. I think it can be a big blocker, because while you're thinking yourself of the victim, it's almost like you're making yourself not worthy to feel that you should feel that way. That's what I'm trying to say. Whereas now I don't do that. I very much think about myself. And if I need to take time out from what's happened, then actually now I'll actually take time out, take a few days, really reflect on what's happened, to then come back again to how I want to present with that individual, to like bring back to them what I feel, not even what I feel, what has happened. So sorry, because I feel like I went off, but the point of what I'm trying to say is that victim can get in your way of actually forgiving yourself and through that path of forgiveness. So I'm going to pass on to someone else while I do a bit more reflecting. Thank you.
Sorry, do you mind if I just jump on what my sisters just said around being a victim?
It's just a technical, which is Kevin's got to go in 5 minutes. And
Okay,
I wanted to know if we could quick go to Kevin before he leaves, and then back to you, Marvina.
Yeah, that's cool. Right. So what I've got to say is I actually agree near enough 100% with Marvina, besides the part about carrying dead weight. And for me, I can forget you. I don't hate you. I can still love you, but that don't mean that I've forgiven. You're just insignificant to me. And so for me, that's what, and I think what happens is that oftentimes we are taught that forgiveness is virtuous, but if it carries a lot of pain to forgive and to just kind of, you just kind of go about your business and forget, then actually might be that's a better place to be for myself, because it might be more cruel to be forgiving, is what kind of where I'm at. But I do agree that the first person you forgive is yourself. And so once I've forgiven myself, if you're external to that and I've decided that you're irrelevant in my life, again, I don't hate you. I will still love you, all the rest of it. You're just irrelevant. So I don't need to feel like I need to forgive you or not, because I'm in a good place as it is.
Okay. I hear that. I hear that. So I know we say, even though when we forgive, I'm going to just go back to two things that's been said. When we forgive, and I've made it clear that it's about me, whether you believe it or not, psychologically, you carry it in your brain. You carry it around you. Even though you say you forget it, there is a process of letting go. If you notice, there's an activities I do with a lot of women who have been in domestic abusive relationship. And one of the things that is very important, sometimes we ask them to write a letter to their abusers, or even young people that have experienced CSE, child sexual exploitation. We ask them to write a letter. And this is where I'm coming around victims. Sometimes the abusers are dead. Sometimes the abusers are no longer there. And sometimes they think they've let go because they've moved on in life. They honestly just think, you know what, I don't really care about this person. Until you get them to get a pen and paper and write it down. Write down everything that they feel, write down everything that they're going through. And we do this activity where we'll have a burn fire and you just burn it. The burning activity is like letting it go. You're seeing it go in flames. You're setting that person free. You've told them what you feel. Some people, if they're comfortable, I'll get them to look at me and read and speak to me like I'm that person, whoever that person is, and they just speak. The thing about a lot of Black men also, in my opinion, please, and I know, Kevin, you need to go, is that a lot of Black men, they say exactly the same thing you say, which is, you know what, I'm not really bothered about it. It's done, innit? It's done, it's done. I'm not going to mess about with you. I don't care about you. Allow you, you know, and you move on. But what happens is that you're not dealing with that emotion sometimes, and it will manifest itself in another way. Someone else will trigger you and you remember exactly what that person did. And it comes to light. The other thing about, back to what Joe was saying about victim, I really don't like the idea of forgiveness and victim and perpetrator kind of mindset, because sometimes that's me giving you my power. That's me giving you my strength. Because sometimes I'm a victim, but I don't like that word, in the sense that if someone knowingly did evil to me in the bid to destroy something I'm doing or to hurt me physically, obviously then according to British standard, I'm a victim. What I do next gives me my power. That's what forgiveness to me is. But again, I'm happy to hear how other people interpret it.
So I don't need to go, and I know I've just kind of hogged the mic a little bit here, but just in response to that, I actually totally agree with you, Malvina, that a lot of Black men carry around a lot of baggage which we don't need to. And I think, again, it is quite kind of shutting off our emotions. And I think for myself, I have gone through that journey of pain so many times that for me, I feel like I can differentiate between the kind of, just kind of releasing you, just let you go, rather than that kind of carrying that dead weight around me all the time. And maybe I'm being a little bit arrogant. I don't know. I mean, I don't believe I am, but I recognize that I have actually gone through a lot of pain, a lot of hurt, and a lot of forgiveness of some of the people who probably people say I shouldn't have forgiven, because I've forgiven some people much more leeway than people who have done far less to me. However, I think it's just sometimes just letting go of some people is much easier than letting go of others, or whatever it may be. And for me, forgiveness is often, I think part of the problem with the whole idea of feeling that we have to forgive is that it's often taught into us almost like some kind of what the word I'm looking for? It's like some servitude, like you're supposed to, because that's what's been taught into you. And my thing is, if it feels right for me, I would do it. And most of the time, forgiveness do feel right for me. So I'm actually probably one of the most forgiving people you ever meet. However, there's just one or two cases where I just say, I'll just let you go. It's as simple as that. With no forgiveness, no hate, no anything, no malice. I just let you go. And on that note, thank you all. I do have to run because I've got another meeting, but it was a joy the short time I was here.
Thank you so much, Kevin. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Okay, see you soon. Thank you.
I just think that I think that forgiveness also can be quite dangerous, because what Marvina was saying, it just sort of reminded me about how forgiveness is very much weaponized in domestic violence situations, where we're taught that we have to forgive, and I think especially in sort of Christian culture, you're taught constantly, and I remember when I was, because I've been through that situation myself, and I remember looking and doing some research about why it's such, sort of sexual violence is such a prevalent thing within relationships, and why, especially in, a lot of these Bible Belts in America, for example, why does it keep happening? And time again, I kept on coming across women saying, they've gone to their pastor, they've gone to this one, they've gone to that one that's in the church community, and they keep on getting told all the time, you have to forgive, you have to forgive, you have to forgive. And they didn't mean forgive and move on. They meant, okay, pray about it, hope it changes, and stay in that situation. So I think that forgiveness can be dangerous when it comes to that kind of level of forgiveness, where you just keep on, staying in that situation, forgiving, hoping that it would change. And I think that also when you think about how sort of the Black diaspora has been treated in terms of slavery and things like that, again, you can see Christianity sort of weaponized forgiveness again, to sort of make people, first force people to be Christians in the first place, but then secondly, to make people feel that they must forgive their oppressor for the things that they're doing to them. So I think we have to be very careful and very aware of those kind of concepts, so we don't, it's almost like a trap that you fall into. And And you can carry that into looking at colonialism and other kinds of atrocities that have happened, where, you know, you're supposed to turn the other cheek when your, you know, oppressor does something to you. And again, I don't like Marvina, I don't like the word, using the word victim. So, because in the end, people do survive these things in some cases. But yeah, I just think we need to be very aware about it all and be very careful. So yes, I do agree. Like we say, on a personal level, things, you know, you do for your own sake, you can forgive. But I also think there are some things that are unforgivable, that is left to the universe, that is just too big for me personally to even think about. And I'm not even going to go there in trying to sort of like forgive it, because I just don't think, you know, it's a crime against humanity. You know, it can't be forgiven, and, you know, somehow that will be taken care of at some point.
Sorry guys, do you mind if I come back in? Because I just want to add that with the word of the victim, that wasn't my terminology, because I can't stand the word victim either. And that was the reason as to why I said it struck a chord with me, because actually I think it's inappropriately placed within the terminology. And why I said that was because at the beginning, I'm not sure if everybody heard, but Hester had wrote a definition of forgiving. And that was my point, that actually, I think the fact that victims even in that sentence is inappropriately shouldn't be there. And actually, I think it gets in the way, of when people are transcending through forgiveness by thinking that they're not allowed, almost like they're not allowed to own that feeling by that word getting in the way. Does that make sense? Because actually, in a lot of times when, you know, people may be trying to express themselves how they feel, that's where that word comes in to say, like, but no one can be a victim in that. And that's my point. No one's a victim. No one is. Because at the end of the day, if that's the way you feel, that's the way you feel. It isn't for anybody to tell you how you're supposed to feel. But what we do own is how we overcome that feeling and what we do with it. So just as everybody has said earlier, I totally agree with what everybody has said, because actually I think very much it comes from yourself and how you want to deal with that to get onto the next stage of where you want to be. But the point is that no one's a victim in it. So I just wanted to emphasize that. Thank you.
So for me, I feel that there is stages within forgiveness that has room to encompass victimhood. And I use that word on purpose. So there is space for that, because sometimes I believe that there is a purposeful focus on making the person, as in trying to show the person that this is where they are, in the sense that you are not in fault for what has been inflicted on you, that you're actually at a point of victimization, not that you are a victim and there is no way of escaping. Of course not. But for me, I believe that there can be a point of recognition within the word. And when you recognize that you are being ill-treated, whether it's by a partner, a friendship, a parent, a sisterhood, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But, you know, sometimes you have to realize that in that moment, what you are in receipt of is nothing that is to be celebrated. And then the moment for me of celebration is the recognition. So once you realize that there is a point where you can choose to no longer walk a road that someone else may have put before you, or where you may have unconsciously chose to walk. There is a massive freedom in forgiveness. And I really do believe unequivocally that forgiveness isn't even wholeheartedly for that person. I believe it's for your own heart. I believe it gives you an ability to have understanding somewhere in places where there is none. And I know that that can be an oxymoron in itself. So you can think of the worst atrocities. But if the point where I am now is that I really don't believe that anyone can choose to inflict pain on someone if they're coming from a whole space. If you're coming from the space where you know who you are and you're strong in who you are, and you're okay with who you are. You just wouldn't want anyone to feel pain or less than. I feel that a lot of religions, and I'm not just going to say Christianity, because they all preach forgiveness in one way or another, maybe not the same way, but they all have that essence. I don't think they shine enough light on the fact that acknowledgement of ill treatment, acknowledgement of abuse is a very different situation than just forgive them for someone who stepped on your toe or stolen the last biscuit or nicked a tenner from your purse. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's so many different facets, but ultimately the beauty of forgiveness for me is to release your soul, because once you allow yourself to be truly free, you're no longer within that casing and that shell that condemnation puts you in. Because when you feel condemned within a situation, that in itself is a prison. You don't need to be behind bars. So I always encourage forgiveness for the freedom of self and clarity of your own mind. Especially my experience with understanding the true meaning of forgiveness is very close to me. And it's been one of the hardest lessons of my life, of my 41 years of life. It's been the hardest lesson. And for me, with my lesson, my experience of understanding what true forgiveness was, it actually came when, on two people's deathbeds, when I could see that they could see that they were wrong. There wasn't even words that was exchanged. And in that moment, I felt nothing but, in a sense, pity, because their belief had kept them so ingrained in what they thought was right that they wouldn't even contemplate that they had possibly hurt others. So once I got that, for me, forgiveness was just a no-brainer. For me, it was just, oh, this is what they mean by it's more for me, because half the time these people can't admit to their wrongdoing anyway. So it doesn't really matter as to how they respond, because forgiveness is my choice. Forgiveness doesn't mean that I have to sit in your presence, what I used to think it meant, that I had to constantly face you all the time. It's actually a pastor that taught me that it didn't mean that. It actually means forgive them and walk away. It's sometimes, send love, send blessings, send good thoughts if you can. If you can't, just be grateful that you're not saying bad words. And it just made me think, you know what? There is a lot of layers to this forgiveness. That's one of my views on forgiveness.
And I do think as well that forgiveness can be a process. I don't know about other people, but for me, it's been a process where you think you've forgiven, then some problem crops up in your life that was caused by in my case, by my ex-husband, but might come up later on in life, or come up later on, a year later or 2 years later, after we already split up. And then that resentment comes back again, because that issue was caused by them, even though they're not there anymore. And then you've got to go through that whole process of like learning how to forgive that and let that go, because now ultimately whatever happens, you have to fix the problem yourself. And then I'm still then being the one that's angry and upset, and it hurts me in the end. He's happy, he's doing whatever he's doing. So it's really up to me to keep undergoing that process to set myself free. So it's nothing to do with him.
Do you know what? I think it's really interesting, again, what everyone said, and even, with what Charlotte just said, really deeply. And I think sometimes when you're not being completely honest, yeah, then I feel that that changes the context. So it's like, I know I keep on going back to this, yeah, but I'm going to go back to the victim thing again, and I'll explain why. Because actually, while Charlotte was talking, I was reflecting myself. And I feel that the reason why, if I'm honest, why I said that is because I feel that in my younger days, I always said, it always was said that I was always playing the victim, yeah, for the things that I would raise, if that would make sense. So when things would happen and then I would try and articulate how that made me feel, it would always be, oh, you're either being sensitive or I'm the victim. So actually, in its true sense, that's what I mean by it, yeah. And when I spoke about it then blocking the way you feel, because I feel then by that always being thrown at me, yeah, it was like, then it questioned me, like maybe I shouldn't be feeling that way in the first place. And that's what I meant about the blockage. So it weren't until later on in life that actually, when I look at everything, I thought, well, actually, I had a right to feel that way. But younger, it blocked me from thinking it was okay to feel that way. And then actually it got in my way of forgiving, because I always felt that I was never heard. Yeah. So actually it blocked that forgiveness. Whereas when I owned that actually it's about me and the way I feel and shaped into who I am today, then I was able to forgive, because actually it's like, no, I had a right to feel that way. And that's why I said in the context of victim. And I just felt like I wanted to say it again, because I felt that when Charlotte spoke, it was like, yeah, I get that, because there are situations where, actually, obviously, we might or we might not like the terminology, but people can be hurt and stay in that hurt position by the use of that word. So I just wanted to clarify again. Thank you.
Joe, I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for saying that. I want to actually, you see what you said there about what people trying to stop you from articulating yourself of how you felt about certain things. As I got older, I realized that it was those people that stopped me that never used their voice. So it wasn't always Joe. And please, Joe, I'm not generalizing, because I don't know what you're talking about personally, but I find that people who have tried to put a lid on it, there's an envy, but it's not always personal. They just wish they had the boldness, and they can kind of sometimes see where your voice is going to be used. And I'm going to say it, women, sometimes, when they have lived lives that are not fulfilling to them personally, and they have not allowed their dreams to materialize, when they see the light in another shining real brightly, it's like a mirror, Joe, like it's like this, someone's shining a light in their face. Why didn't you? And really for them, maybe they had, the circumstances are different now as to how our children grow up. So it's a different type of life, but it doesn't make the pain for them any less. And by no way am I excusing anyone who inflicts pain on another at all. I'm not excusing it. It's just, it's easier to see when you no longer sit in that chair.
Thank
Joe,
you so much.
sorry.
Leela,
Oh, sorry, guys. Oh, thank you.
Leela.
Thank you.
No, it's all right. Go ahead, Mark.
Can you hear me? This is deep, guys. Look at me. Charlotte, you're so wise and you're so beautiful and you're so strong. Joe, there's something about, I don't know, I'm just around queens. And when you're around queens, there's something that gives you that energy. And this is also rare. So let's not take advantage of it. This is also rare. Because what Charlotte has just said, sometimes the people that hurt us the most are not the ones we expect at all. Sometimes we're assuming that those ones will be the ones that would be able to see our story. They've lived our story. They are our story. And then they do it to us and you're like, why? And this is coming from someone that grew up with the strongest African woman ever. Gosh, my mom is amazing. But my mother is a narcissist too, toxic as hell. But that's her story. And what people, and this is a message to parents actually, we damage our children so much that years after, you are teaching them how to, okay, let me backtrack a little bit, because I'm also trying to be humble and respectful at the same time. What parents do sometimes, they don't know the impact for generations to generations that they're sowing in their children, to let them think that that's what the world sees them as. How many people growing up where your parents tell you, you know, you're so stupid, you know? Like, why are you acting foolish? You know, it starts from there. Go out with your ugly face. It starts from little things like that. It was just those little things. You're so dumb. Ah, look at your friends. Look at this. That's how it starts. Little by little, it starts like that. And then you date a guy that tells you, like, look at you anyway. Who's going to want you? Then you're sitting there going, you know what? People don't know that it sits there. And you're wondering, why am I taking this rubbish? Then you go to church and you get your spiritual abuse. Just, you know, you get your little dose of spiritual abuse every Sunday. It's just a little dose, you know, submit. You're submitting. Okay, be a good wife. I was a proverbial 3110 woman. Be honest to you, I think the abuse I got from church was different. So when people talk about abuse, people just think about sexual abuse. Nah, I think not everybody should be a pastor. Not everybody should be a pastor. In fact, I feel like there's skills and you need to have some ratings to become a pastor, because there are so many damages. I remember staying in such an unhealthy relationship that at one point, this Marvina here thought, after having
we can't hear you, my love.
my second child, I actually just said, hey, check out. In fact, has it gone off?
We're losing you a bit, my love. Just before you said my second baby, you said this Marvina here, and then I lost it.
Can you hear me now?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I want to talk about what abuse can do to our mental health, because not only unforgiveness, I kept thinking there was something wrong with me because I couldn't let go of the same person that told me they loved me, that was cheating, lying, stealing, hurting me on a daily basis, because people don't understand words have power. And I know I've said that already. I used to say to people that I'll prefer if he beat me every day than said what he said. Did that. To the point that you then go to church and it's like everybody then covers this abuse. Everyone blames you. Every single person stopped the video. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we stopped our videos so you can keep yours on, love. You can keep yours on.
Okay, no problem. So everybody you've done in this whole process, and I remember my son was maybe about 3 months and I just felt like I was done. Like this pain could not leave me. And even in that time, I remember just thinking how I would be blamed for the abuse itself. How people would say I wasn't strong enough. how people, I actually like fast forward to my funeral and actually thought about how people will sit there and judge me to get to this point. So that's the day I decided and let go and literally just forget. It wasn't a choice. It wasn't easy and it took years. So forgiveness is not something that happens straight away, but I had to realize that I had a revolving toxic relationship around me and a pattern of abuse, which I wouldn't say I allowed happen, but I didn't know any different. I was coerced into it, but I had to break the pattern. So to anyone hearing this could be even from someone at work, this could be your friends, this could be anybody around you. Sometimes you need to just remove yourself from that situation if you can, and it's not easy to, but if you can find a way first before you forgive the person. Because I remember I just really wasn't happy with myself. And at that, I will keep quiet because I want to see other people's.
Malvina, thank you. You've shared something like, I think we're all women here, and I think everyone can relate in our own personal stories. I just want to say, like, thank you so much.
Connection and relationships are so important, aren't they? And foundations and self-worth.
Beautiful.
I can't. I sometimes look back on when I was raising my children when they were small, and I remember the things I wanted to focus on, and it was about having fun and enjoying. And then I remember the outpouring of everyone else's opinions. And I remember changing so much of my parenting style. And I don't blame the people. I didn't know who I was. Because if I took the time to really know myself and be strong within who I know Charlotte is today, so many other people's opinions I wouldn't have felt the need to morph into other people's idea of what was acceptable. And it was something that made me look at all different types of relationships. And I really think we're all just trying to fit in and belong. And I really believe that is so backward, because it was one of the things that used to infuriate me as a young person. I would always want to stand out and just be me. And then I'd be so amazed as to why everyone else wasn't doing the same thing. We've been conditioned. It's like an unlearning. I listened to Marvina's story, and I think, how many times have we as women received or experienced another sister sharing that? And I really do believe that one of the things I focus on a lot is self-development and nurturing yourself, because I had a dream that, like, someone else would come along and mother me. That's what I always wanted. I wanted someone else to come and do it. But the truth of the matter is that I was the one. I was the one. And I was the one that was going to make that okay. We have to allow ourselves to believe we're worth it. And the more we do that, I really do believe that other people see and then think, well, if she's doing it, I can do it. If Leela's doing it, if Hester's doing it, if Joe's doing it, if Marvina's doing it, if Martin's doing it, why aren't we doing it? Come on, let's all do it. You know, we don't have, no one else has to okay us or validate us, really. And in that, we kind of validate everyone because we're all enough.
I think what you just said there touched something. I really wanted to just say that the only superhero to your story is yourself, mate. The only person with the cape that's going to come, but this is not promoting those strong black woman syndrome. I'm not that alive.
No, me neither.
No, what I'm trying to say, let me tell you, I love every single role in my body. I love every stretch mark. I love everything. And there are days when I might sit there and I don't feel that way. Then I look at my daughter, I'm like, geez, you created that, man. Damn. Like, when divinity created you, he made no mistakes. Great baby girl. Like, listen, even in your flaws, in my fail, I love to fail because, bruh, I love it. And I've learned that my growth involves failing. Because when I fail, I'm like, okay, lesson learned, retrospective. What do I do next? And my marriage, when I'm divorced now, whoop, whoop. I celebrate that. No longer should I see my divorce as me doing something wrong. That's me choosing to just know my worth and set some healthy boundaries. No longer should the Black community see it as it's my time that I am now this broken woman. People think you can catch divorce, you know. I remember I lost a lot of friends, all those friends. You need to love your own company. And that's why I said forgiving yourself, because guess what? I have to look at myself in the mirror. I have to see what I'm doing right and see what I'm doing wrong. I can't blame the church. I can't blame him. I can't blame my mom. I can't blame no one. Yes, they are their own entity. And yes, there are evil people in this world. Yes, there are racist little so-and-sos in this world too. Yes, the system is geared against us. Yes, as Black women, we are at the back of this privilege walk. But guess what? Every day I'm going to fight though. Every day I'm going to make sure when I see another Black woman, I can... Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not on mute. Sorry.
Yes, you know, every day I see someone like Layla in the space and I'm like, you know what, sis, what you doing? Let me see how I can add value to you. I don't compete with any other Black woman or any woman I see. I don't even care. The fight is not mine. I am not here to oppress another person just because humble pie is something they tell people. It's just amazing how when you get to that point, when I see you and I see you win and I'm excited about you winning, then I know that it is great. Your win is my win. And I wish this world can act that way when we start mattering to each other. And I'm telling people after lockdown, I'm having a big divorce party because gosh, some fine brother about to benefit from this queen here. They don't even know because I am the whole package and an extra bag of chips. In fact, when I walk into your household, you know that I upgrade you naturally. Like literally, you need to be blessed to be even in my presence. Do you understand? Between these thighs can build castles that not only, I don't give it out. Sorry. I know men would, do you know, sometimes you hear about this gold digger things that people talk. Sorry. I know I've seen people talking about, you know, women need to be a certain character before they meet certain people. And, you know, Black women, I don't care what your opinion is because Black women are divine. Sorry if anyone doesn't want to hear that. When we were made, we are the first creation.
Oh, we're losing you, Marvina. Black women are the first creation, mothers of the earth.
Just to follow on from all the, I mean, I can't even, fantastic what everyone's been saying. I just echo it all. I do think, you know, when it comes back to this forgiveness, you know, we keep talking about women, and I think that women have been conditioned to forgive more than men. If you think back to, you know, the conversation with Kevin, it seems in society, it's like it's okay if a man doesn't forgive. But it's not okay when a woman doesn't do it. Like, she's kind of stigmatized. And then again, if you have the religious aspect on top of that as well, it just adds more on top. And then if you're young as well, like when Jo was saying, she's been made to feel that she shouldn't be questioning things. Yeah, I mean, I think that's where mentoring comes in as well, of our young women. I think as we get older and we experience things and we come into our own selves, you know, we can do a lot to sort of help the younger women to come through and feel confident with themselves as well, and to not have to go through those trials, so, you know, as much as what we've had to go through.
It's our duty. It's our duty. And I actually don't care who that upsets. So put it on a stamp and mail it somewhere. I don't care. It's our duty. It is our duty to spread this message with all our young men and women, because they're being done a disservice. We have to encourage them to believe that their voice is worth being heard, that they're worth getting up and and saying whatever is on their chest, whatever is troubling them. And if they feel that they are being treated in a way that is not okay, they have to say. You remember when we were younger, that we were taught that if a boy pulled your hair, he fancies you. Programming, right? If a boy punches you or kicks you, oh, it's because he likes you. I tell my daughters, any of that? No, I don't know what that is. Sorry. No.
It's so messed up.
It's so I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know what that is. It doesn't mean love. It's not okay. And make sure you tell somebody. I remember being told that by all my teachers, my aunties, everyone who I knew. And I thought that that was normal. And then I'd see my dad, who was not like that in any way, shape or form. And for me, he was the biggest example. And I'm going to say something here, because I really do believe our parents are the biggest reflection of all relationships, whether it's friendships or partners and stuff like that. I really do. Not to say I know the bloody world, but most women that I have met whose biological fathers are absent in one way or another, not necessarily for negative reasons. Unfortunately, some people pass away. You know, there's reasons, but there is more of an acceptance of absence of some shape or form. For most women that I know whose mothers were abusive or absent, they don't have good relationships with women. They don't have good relationships with women in their life. I remember, I always used to say, I don't like women. I don't like them. And there was this amazing lady, I'm going to call her Mrs. Allen, who used to say to me, you do love women. You bloody love them a lot. You've just been done really wrong. She didn't know my life. She knew nothing about me other than there was something there. She would always say it. And she said, because I've seen you with the young people. I've seen you with the young people. And there was a point of recognition that was, oh, younger people were safer and older women were polluted and toxic. So that's, I'm sorry if it's too general, but once I started to see that, I then started to look at relationships within people, within my family, within the opposite sex. And I started to think, oh, I'm noticing a pattern here. So sometimes I really do believe that we grow up and we sometimes marry or date or becomes friends with those people who we were mentally looking to for direction. You know, if we all just allowed each other to just be human, what would that be like? Do you know what I mean? Like, what would that be like if we just didn't allow any of the crap in? I feel that we'd have so much more joy. I feel like we'd have so much more peace and forgiveness. I don't even think it would be a word, because it would be just something you do. Because you'd just be constantly looking for the good, wouldn't you? Rather than be expecting someone to do you over. And I think now, over the past 2-3 years for myself, this has been a real walk of understanding and acceptance now, because I couldn't ever imagine turning back into that prison, because that's what it is. It's literally a mental prison. We deserve freedom. We deserve forgiveness. We deserve love. It's ours. We deserve joy. We are worthy. We are enough. There is nothing we could do more in this moment to be any more than what we are. That's enough for me.
My whole body's just relaxed, just hearing you say that.
I love that. It's true, Hester.
Seriously, that's like this really blissed out feeling.
It's beautiful. Hester, you're such a beautiful soul. Everyone on this space is. I love this.
Thanks for hosting, Hester, but I'd really like to hear what you think about all of the things we've discussed.
That's my girl. Yes, we want to know.
When I was a little girl, my big sister, if ever I did anything, she'd say, I'm going to remember that. And she did it for everything. If I borrowed her top without asking, if I broke something. The thing is, we were on our own a lot. Mum was working, Dad, well, they divorced when I was about 5.5, but when he was around, I don't really remember that. He was practicing music, he was a musician, and we just left to our own devices, really. And I don't remember it, probably for a reason. Oh, mate, all of you, there's something about being in the presence of women as well. Like, everything you said is so right. We try and we find those relationships that recreate the patterns that our parents present us with, blah blah blah. The absent fathers, they're not emotionally engaged, or the absent mothers, or not present or not engaged. and my sister is often the one that I'm always thinking of, because she was my caregiver, actually. And so whenever she said, I'm going to remember that, it made me feel like I was so unworthy, and I was so full of guilt. I was so, whatever I did, it was going to be wrong. It was going to be bad. I have that now. I'm always expecting to get told off. I've done the wrong thing. I get paranoid. I make up stories. If someone and I do it with my friend. Like, if they haven't messaged me back right away, I think, oh, they're angry with me, what have I done? And I've basically put my sister onto my friend, and I'm expecting that they're going to tell me off. When we talk about forgiving ourselves, like, I'm very stuck. I'm very stuck there. I feel very guilty about arguing with my partner in front of my children, about the arguments that the children hear, what they observe. Feel huge guilt, huge guilt. Yeah, and stuff with my partner, like the fights, and I don't forgive him. I don't. And maybe if I did, it would move on. And within those fights, there's all these other things which, like, I guess he represents, or I feel like, you know, I've got no power, or I've got, I'm going to be in the wrong, whatever I do. So there's so much turmoil, like on the microcosmic level. I think we absorb all the, you know, injustice or the confusion that we feel around us, and we like internalize it, and we're trying to make sense of it all. And then in the bigger, wider picture, like what's on the news, and, you know, what people put on social media all the time, and how everyone reacts to each other. And it's like this constant thing of, well, you're different, you have a different point of view, you're the other. And we're not going to get anywhere like that. We're literally like not going to get anywhere. And what we were talking about in the beginning of the conversation, my whole body, I feel it really physically, like, you know, my shoulders are up here, and, you know, like hunch, and yeah, talking about that sort of, you know, playing the victim, or, you know, the victim complex, or, you know, shaming, you know, being made to feel shame because you are having, you know, a perfectly reasonable emotional response to something. You know, we do this over and over again to people. So if I'm doing anything right with my children, hopefully I'm getting them to say how they feel and why they feel it, and we talk about it. And after, you know, there has been an argument, I'll say, I'm really sorry I got angry, and sometimes it's just a bit much for me, or I'm, you know, I probably didn't deal with that very well, but I'm finding this really hard. So I'm just trying to make it normal that we like talk it through. And so hopefully my kids, they'll always be able to express and make sense of how they're feeling, and that like it's not being done to them by someone else, that they have that ability and power to make what they can of whatever the situation is that they're in, so they're not trapped and in that prison that you were talking about. Because it is a prison, isn't it?
It is a prison. I think the more we allow ourselves to see ourselves as powerful than powerless, we will then realize that all the things that we were taught were literally to sedate to such a point, just to keep us quiet, just to bring it down a little, when really aren't we meant to be exuberant, just out and just breathe and live and speak and be free? It's not, okay, so society will paint it as like this hippie idea, you know, like we're all sitting around hugging a tree. And even if we were, who cares? Is it the worst thing to do? Can we just go and touch our plant quick? Do you know what I mean? Exactly. It's like, is it the worst thing in the world? I have met so many miserable people in jobs that are meant to make you so happy. And I've met so many amazing, happy people in jobs that you really wouldn't think you'd be that happy in. So I know for a fact it's a choice and a state of mind, and nothing that we have or don't have can control that.
But also, isn't it that, like, going back to what Hester was saying, that guilt is also another conditioning that society puts on us?
Yes.
That, you know, if you don't feel guilty about, and again, that's very much comes from, you know, sort of like, even though we're not a Catholic country anymore, but that's originally where it came from. You know, like my mum used to say, when she was growing up, she used to have to think about things to go and confess to the priest about when she was a little girl, because she hasn't done anything wrong. But the expectation is that you go and you confess, and if you don't confess, you're then sinning. So she used to then go and lie. Oh, I stole my, you know, brother's marbles, or you know, so it's just like a self-perpetuation of guilt that we continuously get trapped in that actually isn't useful for us in terms of helping us move forward. And that conditioning is constantly put on us. And again, I think with women, it's even more. We, you know, we have to feel, that's one thing I guess I felt it quite a lot in the schools that I've been in, is that, you know, as a parent, most people are not parents in a lot of the secondary schools I've been in, and there's always an attack on parents all the time in the staff room, and you're just constantly having to, you know, speak up and sort of say, well, you know, you're if you stay at home, because I've been on the other side of it where my kids were young, I've been on benefits, I've been all these different roles, and if you stay at home, you're scrounging. You know, if you go to work, you're neglecting your children. If you if you work too hard, all you care about is work. Well, no, they need to put a roof over their head. And it's like, you only care about your career. It doesn't matter.
You can't win. Whatever
you cannot win.
Like,
so in a way, we kind of have
the
to,
people. Sorry.
Exactly. And that's put onto us all the time at whatever stage we are in our life. There's always something, you know, when your kids leave home, you're not a good mother because you're not bending over backwards to babysit your grandchildren. Yeah, I've kind of been through that one as well, you know. So there's always something put onto us at some stage. If you want to go off and enjoy your life, at certain stages later on in life, you know, you're neglecting your family. So, you know, I think in the end, you kind of have to find your own way and, you know, let go of those conditionings, because they're not our voices. They're other people's voices that are put
100%.
onto us and trap us all the time. Or they're the voices of the past, like you said with your sister, Hester, that are being put onto you, that you're taking into the present and trapping you into these, you know, negative feelings. So really, guilt doesn't serve any purpose, and I just I refuse to be stuck in that. I'm just not going to allow people to make me feel guilty about stuff, because it didn't help me move on and find solutions to anything, to be honest, or to love myself.
Can I just say as well, has anyone, let's just be honest, when we've tried to make someone else feel guilty, who feels good about that? Think about it. When you was younger, and you may, or in your walks where you're dealing with abusive people, and you may try to give them a dose of their own medicine, who felt good about that?
Oh, I've done it to my other half. It makes me feel like crap.
Exactly. This is what I'm saying. So imagine if I've done that so many times. So imagine if we just don't. I'm not making it seem so easy like I have all the answers, because I don't have all the answers. But sometimes I think it's a lot more simpler than what we allow it to be, because of all the years of conditioning. So are we meant to just live in limbo and then die and then have the massive realization 2 minutes before we go to the grave? No, do you know what? Drop me out. I am done. Like, I'm seriously, I have no time for it. I don't have no time for it. I have very little patience with this stuff anymore. Very little patience. So, like, I will always nurture, but I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. I carried it for too long. I'm not doing it now. I'm so violent. Listen, I said violent about the fact that I'm not carrying it anymore. You can carry it yourself or put it down. I choose to put it down.
Not on the subject, but I've just realised you've got a filter.
I know, for my eyebrows.
When you move really fast.
So I realised I was looking at this thing, right, with my eyebrows, with the girls the other day, and I realised I haven't taken it off. See, this is real time, people. You should have seen it with the purple ones. Brilliant. Next time.
At first I thought it was me because I should be wearing glasses. And then you speak to me as a filter.
I wasn't sure if it was still happening. I was trying to take it off. I thought, leave it. entertain you, make you tune in.
I thought you tried something different with your eyebrow pencil, and then when you just move quickly, you just go on. There was left behind.
I'll bring the joy, I'll bring it. Oh, just I like to share this with people. So I did my ancestry DNA and I found out I was 12% Nigerian. I'm well pleased. I'm so pleased. I know.
And Marvina's not here to hear that.
I know. Never. I'll share it with her. I'll share it with her. Oh.
Can you tell me after how you did your ancestry DNA? I keep looking that up.
I would do that.
I just want to say, I think we've got so much to contend with in terms of, like, you know, the patriarchy. Like, there's white supremacy is one thing, but then it's just like, what women, you know, how many, in the chat I just put, it's like the impossible standards as well, and that constant, like, that constant layering of, like, not good enough, still not good enough, oh, guess what, not good enough. It's like,
who determines this? Who determines that Joe isn't good enough today? Right, Joe, I'm telling you, who you've never met in your life. You're not good enough today. Are you mental? No, do you know, when I say mental, guys, please, PC police, not today. I'm not interested. You know, it's not fair. We do not have to live under that.
Yeah, it's the division, isn't it? It's
it is
divided, not united.
It is. We're enough. Take it by force.
I can't take you seriously now because of the eyebrows.
I'm sorry. I can't take it off till I come off.
We got 5 minutes left. I want to come back to Joe because we haven't heard from you for a while, Joe. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. I was just kind of thinking about what Charlotte said about who determines, that you're not good enough, you know? And no one really has the right to do that. And I'm just thinking of a situation I was in last week. Yeah, that's something that's sticking with me. Who determines that? Who says you're not enough?
That's right. That's right. The way I see it is, as long as you say it, that you're enough, Joe, no one can tell you none. By force.
Yeah. You got so silly. You got me laughing. I'm going to mute myself.
Laughter is the best medicine. I think that's a brilliant way to end.
It feels so good to laugh. I was crying a lot the other night, like non-stop, like hard, inconsolable crying. And I need to laugh more, man. Need that shower for the soul. Well, should we do a closing round then? Closing round of thoughts or reflections. Go on, Leela.
I think everything's really been said. I mean, to be honest, I just want to say again, these ideas about us feeling guilty. It's so much about conditioning from society, and no one has the right to tell us that we should feel guilty about this and feel guilty about that. We're all old enough now, long in the tooth enough to know, what we should be doing and being honest with ourselves. and not beating ourselves up about things too much, because look at the situation everyone's in at the moment. I mean, I only had like 2 weeks taste of homeschooling, and I'm like, oh my days, you know, I'm a primary school kid. So, you know, I can't imagine you guys, you know, people going through it all. I mean, it's just everyone's going through hard times, and sometimes if we need to have a little cry, and you know, sort of things are not going to be perfect, you know, with our kids, or perfect with our partner, it's just the way it is right now. It's quite temporary, but looking after ourselves and our own well-being, taking time out to do that. And I say that because I know I'm not the best person to do it, but Charlotte beat me over the head about it sometimes. You know? So yeah, and encourage each other to keep on, you know, looking out for each other, really. And you know, love yourself first. I think that's what we need to do. And I think everything else will stem from that.
Okay, so imagine you're a young child looking up at the telly when you was little, and you saw that latest thing, whatever that thing was. For me, it was Polly Pocket, if anyone remembers that. Looking at it thinking, if I only had Polly, oh, if I only got that My Little Pony, everything will be okay, right? Think about all the things that you did get. We don't have to believe the lie anymore, because everything that we could ever need is within us. We do not need, what's the thing now? I suppose for me it's headphones. I don't need another pair. It's not necessary. You know, it's not going to make me any happier. It really isn't. But what we are worthy of is nurturing our innermost being, taking the time to do that. Read, drink water, breathe, do yoga, go for a walk. Just remember you're enough. Looking for someone to say, I love you. Look in the mirror, look in your eyes and keep them wide open. And keep looking until maybe you cry. That's because your soul hears you. And maybe that's what you need. To tell yourself you're enough. To believe it, hold on to it, and just feel like sugar in it, you know? Thank you for hosting, Hester. Much love always to everyone.
Joe.
My final word, I'll just really quick, is for me, I would say it starts with you and it ends with you.
I did try that, by the way, Charlotte. The mirror thing.
Okay, good.
It's hard. It's hard. It did make me sad.
There'll be moments of that.
You.
There'll be moments of that, but that's okay.
What Joe just said starts with you, ends with you. And somebody said after a breakup of a relationship in my 20s, they said to me, be your own best parent, be your own best friend. And yeah, we have a huge capacity and resource within us to be this abundant source of all that we need. And I've missed that because I'm not doing any of those practices that I used to do. Lockdown is just like, it's just the kids and the you know, make breakfast, clean it up, make lunch, clean it up, make dinner, clean it up, get into bed. It's a battle, like, and that practice of going within and realizing it's just all there. We don't need anything from the exterior, from the outside world. It's all within us. And yeah, that's what I used to do at the end of my yoga classes. Yeah, knowing that we have all we need, all that we will ever need, and all that we have ever needed, that is right here within us.
That is beauty.
Good night, ladies. Thank you so much. I'm going to stop the live if I can figure out what the button is. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you have, I'm sorry I didn't check if anyone was commenting, but I never really care about that. I just care about these lovely people right here.